Florida takes on Miami in a little over 3 months, but it's never too early to talk about it, especially in the offseason. Today, we're going to take a post-spring look at the Gators and the Hurricanes. Just before we get started, are you going to the game? If so, let me know. I have been tossing around the idea of a tailgate. Would that be something you guys want to do? Let's chat about it down below. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I want to kind of look at some of these, position groups and decide who has an advantage here. So let's start with the quarterback room. Cam Ward versus Graham Mertz. Listen, Cam Ward is coming to Miami from Washington State. Last season, he threw for 3,735 yards and 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. No one is denying that Cam Ward is an incredibly talented kid who has not experienced what he will experience in Gainesville when Miami heads to the Swamp. I think that Cam Ward could be great for the Canes. I just doubt that we see that week 1 in a new system on the road. The Swamp, particularly the first game of the season Swamp where you all are bringing your A game, that is not an environment that he is going to have ever seen before. Now, Graham Mertz, on the other hand, is coming back for his swan song with the Gators, in charge of an offense that he has a great understanding of and as a highly respected leader of this Gator team. The Swamp is going to fuel him, not intimidate him. And I think that this gives the edge to Mertz. I think you could argue who is more talented one-on-one. In this situation, though, Graham Mertz has the advantage. Let's talk about the running back room. This is probably the deepest room for UF, which is certainly interesting given the fact that Trevor Etienne, who was Florida's most productive running back last season, left for Georgia. But the Gators are returning Montrell Johnson, Treon Webb, and then they added Jaden Baugh, who looked like the real deal in the spring game, and Kanan Daniels, another talented freshman, Mississippi Player of the Year. This room is going to dominate this season as long as the offensive line can be serviceable. If there is one room you can point to where there is not really depth concerns at all, I would say it's running back. Now, Miami has a stud transfer in Damian Martinez, who they got from Oregon State. He is damn good. He had 1,185 yards and 9 touchdowns in his sophomore season before hitting the transfer portal. I also think it's important to note that the reason he went to the transfer portal is because Oregon State lost Jonathan Smith to Michigan State. So, nothing was going on there. He just, a whole new system, whole new head coach, and he says that this was a very difficult decision for him to make. He's going to be a stud. I just don't think that room is incredibly deep. Let's move and talk about the wide receivers. So Florida has Trey Wilson, who is the best wide receiver that will play in this game. But after Wilson, Florida's going to need some of the younger guys to kind of live up to their hype. Miami's wide receiver room, on the other hand, is stacked. They have 2 of the top 3 returning receivers in the ACC in Xavier Restrepo and Jacoby George. So I am going to give the edge to Miami. Again, Florida has the best individual wide receiver that'll be playing in this game. I think Miami, when you talk about the 2 guys they have returning and you look at the stable of young, highly rated guys that they have coming behind them, I think the edge goes to the Canes. Offensive line. Well, neither of these units were great last year. Neither may be great this year, but I think that they both, at the very least, will be serviceable. And whichever team can make the most strides here in the offseason is going to be at a huge, huge advantage when this game is played. Before we go on to the defense, I want to thank Meldon Law for their support. Not only do they support my channel, but they support UF athletics. If you are in Gainesville, Ocala, Fort Lauderdale, or Lake City and are in either a truck, car, or motorcycle accident, your consultations with Meldon Law are absolutely free. They have been servicing Florida since 1971 and are a proud partner and supporter of all Florida Gator athletics. Okay, so let's talk about the defense right here. Defensive tackle. I think UF has the slight edge here with Cam Jackson, Des Watson, Joey Slackman coming in. I think that they maybe win this battle, right? Simone Barrow is coming from Michigan State. He's a really good transfer for the Canes, but I don't know that I think their interior defensive line is quite as good as UF's. So the edge on the defensive line, I am going to give to the Gators. Let's talk about edge. Miami has two really good defensive ends in Ruben Bain. And now for the Gators, I like McCray coming in as well as Tyreek Sapp on the edge. But Miami's edge rushers are some of the very best in the country. And as much as I like McCray, there is for sure going to be at least some learning curve adjusting from the high school game. And that's probably not going to happen game one. So we're going to give the edge to Miami. So let's talk about the linebacker room. UF wins here. They have Shamar James coming back. Pup Howard coming in from the transfer portal. This is a guy UF really, really wanted coming out of high school. They got that second chance with him when he transferred from South Carolina. Miami has Francisco Mauigoa, who is a really nice piece for the Canes. And he might be the best linebacker in the state, but I think UF's entire linebacker room is better than Miami's. Moving on to the secondary, UF added some key pieces last year. They got Asa Turner, DJ Douglas, and Trickweezy Bridges. They also return experience in that secondary as well. Miami's secondary is atrocious. They were awful last season, and I don't know that they're going to be much improved this year. This is probably an area of the field that UF is going to look to exploit maybe the most come August. Definitely give me UF secondary all day long. So then we move on to coaching. Which coach can keep from making vital mistakes that they both have seemed prone to at times? Has Coach Napier learned from some of those mistakes that happened in game last season? Has Mario Cristobal? I don't know. This is a really hard one to pick. I'm going to go with Coach Napier because they're at home, because he's returning a quarterback with a system that he is completely comfortable and used to, because this defense seems to have been making strides in the right direction. But this is a game that can be flipped on its head if there are any coaching mistakes in it. So it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. So what is something that is going to be a deciding factor? I honestly think home field advantage is going to play a key role in this game. You guys know what the Swamp sounds like. Miami fans are lucky to get 10,000 fans at their home games. The Swamp will be rocking. And even if Florida doesn't have the type of season that we are hoping for, hope springs eternal in August, right? Everybody shows up for the first game of the season ready to go. We're going to have 9 months of not having college football. We are ready to be loud. We are ready to be that 12th man. I think that the home field advantage for Florida in this game is massive. This is not the kind of thing that Miami sees on a regular basis. So where are we with returning production? So UF is 32nd in the country. Not bad, right? They beat out Miami, who is 45th. Now, Vegas says Miami is a 2-point favorite. So a little bit more than a coin flip their way. But I am interested to see how that changes as we get closer to opening kickoff. As a reminder, Vegas also has Miami's win total at 9.5, and they have UF's at 5.5. A lot of people use that to point to the fact that UF won't be any good. But Vegas is also telling you that this game is a coin flip. And honestly, look at Miami's schedule and look at Florida's schedule. The difficulty difference could very well be why they've got Miami at 9.5 and Florida at 5.5. What do you think Miami's win-loss total would look like if they played Florida's schedule? My guess is it would look pretty similar to 5.5. What do you guys think about this game? Anyone want to get brave and throw a May prediction out there? Let's chat about it down in the comments. We're going to have plenty more to say about this game as we get close to it. But for now, I really do like where UF sits. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And as always, go Gators.